I'm so nervous about my upcoming IELTS speaking test. Have you ever felt this way? Test anxiety is real. Arnav, in this speaking interview, scores a band 6.5 instead of a 7.5 because he is so nervous. I will give you tips and strategies to be more confident so that you can get those high band scores and defeat test stress. Let's watch and learn. Welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test, and I will give you instructions for each of the three parts. May I see your identification?
Yes, certainly. Here's my identification that I use to check in. Please have a look.
And what is your full name?
My full name is Arnav Singh. Please call me by my first name, Arnav.
Okay, Arnav. For part one, I will ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better, and some questions on a general topic. Where do you live?
I live in Mumbai, which is the economic capital of India. I live in a 3-bedroom hall kitchen with my parents and siblings.
And what is your hobby?
My hobby is playing football, that is also known as soccer. I go to play football each and every weekend after my college timings.
Let's talk about ice cream. Do you like ice cream? Why or why not?
Yes, I do like ice cream. My most favorite flavor is the chocolate flavor. It is a delightful treat. I like having ice cream during winters. That's usually when people do not like having ice cream because it's so cold.
How often do you eat ice cream?
I eat ice creams on weekends with my friends. We usually go out to eat ice cream in the park because my friends like to talk and eat ice cream and get to know each other and what did they do during the weekend.
What is your favorite flavor of ice cream and why?
My favorite flavor of ice cream is chocolate. It's my most favorite flavor because since childhood, I used to eat a lot of chocolates. And when I was introduced to an ice cream, the first flavor I picked was chocolate, and it was so good.
Where can you buy ice cream near your home?
There is an ice cream parlor just 3 blocks away from my home. It is actually right beside the park. So we just grab the ice cream from the ice cream parlor and walk towards the park and talk about the day.
It is clear to see right away in part one that Arnav is overwhelmed with test anxiety. He often repeats himself saying usually, has awkward endings to his sentences, forgetting his ideas. And he takes big swallows and licks his lips. Just watch that part again where he talks about an ice cream parlor 3 blocks from his house. Big swallow, clearly indicating that he's exceptionally nervous. This is no surprise. His body is releasing cortisol, a hormone used in the slow stress response system of the body. Cortisol makes the brain forget information. This is a protective mechanism to try to decrease stress. However, this is not ideal in a language exam. You do not want cortisol overwhelming your nervous system. You have to control yourself, and I will teach you exactly how to do that. But first, let's watch the rest of part one. When do you usually like to eat ice cream?
I usually like to eat ice cream in the night after having a good dinner with my parents and have a walk in the park while talking to my friends.
Has ice cream changed in any way since you were a child?
Yes, the texture and the flavors have increased since my childhood. There are a lot of new flavors that have been introduced, such as vanilla, pistachio, mango, and they have included a lot of traditional flavors in ice cream as well.
If you could go anywhere to try any ice cream, where would you go and what would you try?
I would definitely go to Italy, where I would find the most authentic gelato. As Italians like a lot of pistachio, I guess that would be the first flavor I would go and try in Italy, because I think the gelato in Italy is better than any other place in the world.
That is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. Now that you've finished part 1, you're probably thinking, poor Arnav. He's so nervous, he's having real difficulty thinking and speaking. Of course he does. IELTS is a big deal. It will affect his ability to study abroad or move to another country. And let's not kid ourselves, IELTS exams are expensive. Everybody hopes to pass the first time. So what could he do? Here are 2 quick tips to overcome test anxiety. Number 1, drink a bit of water. Notice how Arnav has his water just to his left, and he doesn't stop to take a deep breath and take a sip of water. If nothing else, this could really help him with the dry mouth, also known as cotton mouth, caused by his anxiety. Number 2, it's important to use English before your speaking test. Show up to your exam center early. Talk to other candidates. Practice your English. Asking stranger candidates at the exam center to practice a few speaking questions will also build your confidence. Saying, "Hi, are you here for the IELTS speaking test? I am. Would you mind practicing a few questions?" This will build the confidence so that you're more fluent as soon as you begin the interview with the examiner. These are the kinds of tips and strategies that you can learn in our premium IELTS course at aehelp.com and gieltshelp.com. Now, let's watch part 2. For this part, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these, think about your answers, and then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. You can take notes in this 1 minute time if you wish. I will tell you when to start and when to stop. Is that clear?
Yes, it is.
Please do not touch the question paper. Describe a crowded place you have been to. Your 1 minute preparation time begins now. Okay, your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
The most crowded place that I have been is the Marine Drive during the Diwali festival and even during New Year's. Everyone come together, be it rich or poor. Everybody celebrates all these festivals at Marine Drive. You can see a lot of people celebrating Diwali at Marine Drive, and there are a lot of firecrackers. Marine Drive is situated in the southern part of Mumbai, which is also called South Bombay. I went to Marine Drive with my parents and siblings, and they were quite fascinated by the lightings and the decorations that were put up. We did go to see the Taj Hotel, which is usually not lit up, but there were a lot of light projections on it. It was really an overwhelming experience, because that was the last time I spent in India. Yes, I would like to change quite a few things of Marine Drive. That are there should be a good parking spot available, because we had to park all the way at the end and walk towards the Marine Drive, because it is a long walk from the parking spot towards Marine Drive. As we went there, all the parking spots were filled up because there were tens and thousands of cars.
Okay, that is the end of part 2. We will now continue with part 3. I will take back the questions. Can you please put the note paper to the side? Turn it over. Arnav has battled his way through part 2, talking about a crowded place in Mumbai, Marine Drive. This is a location he must have visited at least a dozen times. Yet he's still having issues clearly conveying the information because of all the stress that he's experiencing. Notice the stomping and fidgeting of his feet under the table. Again, big swallows. And repeating the phrase, it was.
Really...
Like a broken record, anxiety affects speaking in these terrible ways. And it's very important that you focus on strategy. This is my next tip for you to overcome test stress. Instead of focusing on the examiner, perhaps it's the first time you've ever spoken to a native speaker. Don't worry about it. They're just another person. Instead of worrying about your performance or what the examiner is thinking, use your attention and focus on strategy. By focusing on strategy, you distract yourself from being stressed. In part 2, when you're talking about a location like a crowded place, you must remember to talk about the location. You have to talk about the appearance of the place, what it looks like, the attendees, the people who go there, the activities that happen there, and your past experiences. Visualize this location. By focusing on this strategy and structure, your mind will be distracted from the stress. These again can be learned for talking about people, objects, events, ideas, and places for part 2 in your premium package at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gltshelp.com for general IELTS. Strategy and practice are great ways to decrease stress. Let's go on to part 3. And I will now ask you questions related to the topic of part 2 and your response. Let's talk about crowded places. So why do a lot of people enjoy going to crowded places?
People usually like going to crowded places to meet a lot of people.
Why do other people dislike crowded places?
People usually dislike crowded places because of the atmosphere. Some people are usually claustrophobic, and it really gets overwhelming for them to be in a crowded place.
Where would you say is the most crowded place in your city?
The most crowded place in my city would be the Dadar station. It is filled with thousands of people because that's the station from where usually people travel to their hometowns and villages. It is the most crowded place because there are a lot of trains halting all the time over there. Even during the night, it's crowded.
Would you say it's important for a city to have amusement or other facilities that draw large numbers of people?
Yes, it is very important to have a place that everyone can visit. I usually used to like to spend my time at Marine Drive with my friends on weekends because that's the place where we used to go to party, relax, and have fun.
Why do you think people choose to live in big cities even though they often find themselves in traffic jams and busy transit hubs like the one that you mentioned?
Usually people like to live in urban cities is for good education and transportation, but the infrastructure in my city is not that quite developed than places in abroad which have good urban planning and infrastructure.
How do you think cities overseas are different from those in your country that have dense populations?
The cities overseas have good urban planning and infrastructure. The public transportation in urban cities is well planned.
How about in Mumbai?
As Mumbai is a developing city, it always has roadside construction taking place, and which makes a huge traffic jam. And as during the peak hours, when people are trying to get to their office, it really makes it difficult for them because of the traffic jams. As there is no proper road planning, and the trains are always filled with thousands of people, it really makes it difficult to get from one place to another.
What would you say is important in urban planning when considering a large volume of people in certain localities?
In my opinion, I guess having proper infrastructure and road planning is very important, because if there are narrow roads and no proper place to go, if there are thousands of people staying in one place, it is very important to have a proper urban planning that helps them get from one place to another.
What innovative solutions have you seen to manage large crowds of people?
I think there are a lot of innovative solutions that improving public transport will be one of them. If there are a lot of different public transports available, such as buses, trains, or trams, people can get from one place to another instead of using private vehicles.
That is the end of part 3. That concludes the speaking section of the exam. You will have your mark in 2 days online after you finish the other sections, and your official certificate will be in the mail in 10 days. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Part 3 is seeming a bit better than part 1 and 2. Arnav is starting to gain some confidence. His answers are longer, more fluent, he's using better vocabulary, and he's repeating himself less often. What has changed? Well, firstly, he's been speaking for 7-8 minutes. Again, practicing before you meet your examiner, talking to other candidates, is a good way to achieve this. Also, notice his body language. His hands are now up on the table. He's more forward. Body language helps to control anxiety. When you use your hands to emphasize your words and put yourself more towards your listener, it will also project your voice and psychologically build confidence. So use your hands. Keep them up above the table in front of yourself instead of in a closed defensive position. Last but not least, practice makes perfect, and it certainly helps decrease test anxiety. A lot of candidates do not pay enough attention and do not give enough time to part 3 questions and answers. Often students are just focusing on the answers of part 1 and part 2. Instead, what I recommend is ask questions so that you don't get caught off guard by these stranger, more specific part 3 questions. Ask questions, practice the questions as well as the answers with partners. You can do this with other students on our websites for free by clicking the Student Partner Speaking in your My Student account. With these tips, drinking water, showing up to the exam early, putting your hands on the table and presenting with body language, making sure to practice, and focusing on strategy, you're sure to beat that stress anxiety and get a high score the first time you sit your IELTS exam. Good luck the next time you're in your speaking test. For more great tips and strategies, over 100 video lessons, original practice exams, an interactive course, and an app for your phone, visit and join our premium IELTS package at aehelp.com. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. Use the code CHILL9 for an extra 10% discount. Simply click the link in the video description below. We are an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, an IELTS test registration center, and I'm a British Council agent. We have helped thousands of students succeed. Just listen to what this former candidate has to say.
With this course, I was able to achieve my IELTS goals. I will recommend it to anyone who's in the market looking for a cost-effective way of achieving it.
Begin learning for success. Join now. Subscribe to our channel. Click over here. Watch another video. Click right up here. And click our IELTS Hero to join our premium package and get access to all of our videos, practice exams, and a fully interactive course.